There comes a moment in every person's life where you have to decide who you really are. Not who you say you are on Sunday morning, but who you are when the gun is pointed at your head. Imagine you are standing in a dusty courtyard. It's cold, you are hungry, you haven't slept in 10 days. Surrounding you are walls that are falling apart. Walls made of mud and stick, not stone. Outside those walls, waiting in the dark, is an army of 4,000 professional soldiers who have marched hundreds of miles just to kill you. They have cannons, they have cavalry, and they have raised a red flag that means one thing: no quarter, no prisoners. Everyone dies. Your commander takes out his sword and draws a line in the dirt. He looks you in the eye and says, "Those who are ready to give their lives for freedom cross this line." What do? Do you step over, or do you climb the wall and run into the night? In 1836, 189 men stepped over that line. They knew they were dead men walking, but they stayed. This is the story of the Alamo. It is the most famous suicide mission in American history. And trust me, the movie version doesn't even come close to the real grit of what happened in those 13 days. Welcome to Valor and Heritage. Before the shooting starts, we need to talk about the cast of characters. Because honestly, if you wrote this as fiction, people would say it's too unrealistic. You have three main guys defending the Alamo, and they couldn't be more different. First, you have William Barrett Travis. He's the commander. He's only 26 years old. Think about that, 26. He was a lawyer, a bit of a dandy, wore fancy clothes, and had a massive ego. He left his wife and kids in Alabama to start a new life in Texas. At first, the men didn't like him. They thought he was arrogant. But as we'll see, this young lawyer had a spine made of absolute steel. Then you have Jim Bowie. Yes, the knife guy. Bowie was already a legend. He was a brawler, a land speculator, a slave trader. He was a rough character. He was famous for a sandbar fight where he was shot, stabbed, and beaten, and still managed to kill his attacker with his massive knife. By the time he got to the Alamo, he was sick, likely with tuberculosis or typhoid. He spent most of the battle in bed, coughing up blood, but he kept his pistols and his knife on his chest the whole time. And finally, the celebrity, Davy Crockett, the king of the wild frontier. He was a former congressman from Tennessee. He famously told the voters back home, "You may all go to hell, and I will go to Texas." He showed up at the Alamo with a group of volunteers called the Tennessee Mounted Volunteers. He was funny, he played the fiddle, and he was the best shot in the fort. He didn't have to be there. He could have left at any time, but he stayed because, as he said, he wanted to help the Texans get their liberty. These three guys, along with about 180 other farmers, shopkeepers, and fathers, were holed up in an old Spanish mission called the Alamo. It wasn't a fortress, it was a church with a few walls around it. And marching toward them was General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, the self-proclaimed Napoleon of the West, with an army determined to crush the rebellion once and for all. On February 23, 1836, the siege began. Santa Anna arrived and immediately raised a blood-red flag from the church tower in San Antonio. That flag was a message. In military language, it meant no quarter. It meant surrender now or I will kill every single one of you. No mercy. Travis answered with a cannon shot. Boom. Message received. For the next 13 days, it was psychological torture. The Mexican artillery bombarded the walls day and night. Thud, thud, thud. You couldn't sleep. The walls were slowly crumbling. But worse than the cannons was the music. Santa Anna ordered his band to play El Degüello every night. It's an old Spanish bugle call that dates back to the wars against the Moors. It translates to the throat slitting. Imagine sitting in the dark, hungry, knowing you're outnumbered 20-1, and hearing a song that basically says, "We're going to cut your throat." Travis knew they were doomed without help. He wrote letters. He sent couriers slipping through the Mexican lines at night. His most famous letter is a masterpiece of American patriotism. He wrote, "I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man. I shall never surrender or retreat." He ended it with 3 words that still give me chills: victory or death. Only one group answered the call: 32 men from the town of Gonzales. They slipped through the enemy lines and entered the Alamo. Think about that. They broke into a trap. They knew they were walking into a graveyard, but they came anyway because their friends were inside. That brings the total to about 189 defenders against 4,000. The math was simple. The end was coming. We're approaching the final dawn, the moment where legends are made. But before the walls fall, I have a request. If you believe that the spirit of victory or death is what made this country great, stand your ground and hit that subscribe button. We are telling the stories of the brave. Don't let them be forgotten. Now, the sun is coming up. March 6th, 1836, 5 a.m. It was pitch black and freezing cold. The defenders were asleep, exhausted from days of bombardment. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of 4,000 men screaming, "Viva Santa Ana!" The attack didn't come from one side. It came from all 4 sides at once. It was a swarm. The Texans woke up, grabbed their rifles, and ran to the walls. The Texans were deadly shots. They loaded their cannons with nails, horseshoes, and scrap metal, making giant shotguns. The first wave of Mexican soldiers was mown down. The ladders were pushed back. For a few minutes, it looked like they might hold. But Santa Anna just sent more men. He didn't care about casualties. He sent wave after wave until the Texans couldn't reload fast enough. Travis was one of the first to die. He was on the north wall firing his shotgun. He took a bullet to the forehead. He died instantly, draping over the cannon he was defending. The commander was gone. The north wall was breached. The Mexicans poured into the courtyard like a flood. Now the battle wasn't about shooting. It was about hand-to-hand. Knives, bayonets, fists. The Texans retreated into the buildings, the long barracks, and the chapel. This is where the fighting was the fiercest. In the dark rooms of the long barracks, it was a slaughter. Davy Crockett and his boys were in front of the chapel. Witnesses say Crockett ran out of bullets and was using his rifle, Old Betsy, as a club, swinging it until he was overwhelmed by numbers. And Jim Bowie? The Mexicans found him in his bed. He was too sick to stand, but he wasn't too sick to fight. He emptied his pistols and reportedly killed 2 men with his famous knife before they bayoneted him in his cot. By 6:30 a.m., just 90 minutes after it started, it was silent. The sun rose over a scene of total carnage. Every single defender was dead. Santa Anna ordered their bodies stripped and burned. He thought he had won. He thought he had crushed the rebellion. He was wrong. He had just lit a fuse that would blow his entire army apart. News of the massacre spread across Texas, but instead of being terrified, the Texans were furious. "Remember the Alamo" became the rallying cry. Sam Houston, the general of the Texas Army, used that anger to build a new force. 6 weeks later, at a place called San Jacinto, Houston caught Santa Anna napping, literally. The Mexican army was resting. The Texans attacked in the middle of the afternoon. It wasn't a battle. It was revenge. The Texans charged, screaming, "Remember the Alamo! Remember Goliad!" The battle lasted 18 minutes. That's it. 18 minutes. The Mexican army was destroyed. Santa Anna was captured, hiding in the grass, dressed as a common soldier.
Texas was free. The sacrifice of the 189 men at the Alamo bought Sam Houston the time he needed to build his army. If Travis had surrendered, if they had run away, Texas might still be part of Mexico today, or maybe the American West looks completely different. Today, the Alamo still stands in downtown San Antonio. It's small, it's surrounded by skyscrapers and hotels, but when you walk inside, it's quiet. You can feel it. It's a shrine to the idea that some things are more important than life itself. Travis, Bowie, Crockett, they didn't die for a piece of land. They died for a word: liberty. If you enjoyed this story of the ultimate last stand, leave a comment, victory or death. Let's see how many patriots are watching. Next time on Valor and Heritage, we're jumping forward to the darkest day in the 20th century. We're going to the beaches of Normandy. You think you know D-Day. Wait until you hear the story of the first wave. Remember the Alamo.